and they don't really like me. Cause I can fuck your bitch and fuck your mom and auntie.
Alright, you already know.
Hey, coming up next, are you a budding
Nick Crowley the GOAT.
looking to strut your stuff? We'll show you where to upload and share your videos for the world to see coming up right after this break. Stay here.
Hi YouTube, this is Chad and Steve. We're the co-founders of the site.
For free and be able to do a bunch of different things with them. YouTube.com is the best place that I've seen it.
Wow. Want to know more about YouTube?
Alright, so here we are in front of the elephants.
Congratulations on passing 100 million subscribers.
Damn.
Really bizarre behavior.
He got the whole fucking
videos posted on
YouTube Detective Avengers for this fucking video. Nigga, Wendigoon, Nexpo and shit.
The dark side of YouTube, a place that has become an obsession of mine throughout the years, with the vast majority of my uploads being centered around the most disturbed content this site has to offer. And throughout these years, I've accumulated so many topics ranging from the bizarre to the downright terrifying, that I decided to finally put them all together into an iceberg so that I can properly share them with all of you. Most of these will be unique to my channel, but you'll probably recognize a few topics, especially if you've watched my videos before. And in honor of this spooky season, I reached out to a few fellow creators to help me out and take you guys to the very depths of the site.
But that bitch is 7 fucking hours. That's like a whole stream by itself.
YouTube's darkest iceberg.
I literally can't play or watch nothing else. Like, that whole stream gotta be the Yay Iceberg.
Skies. For this layer, I'll be taking you guys through some of the videos and channels that truly terrified me when I was growing up, way before I ever dreamed of becoming a YouTuber. And from there, I'll have some friends join me in walking you through the following levels, which, rather than being ranked by obscurity, will instead get darker and darker as we go, at least in my own personal opinion. Until the very end, when I'll close the video off with the content here on YouTube that truly terrifies me today, which I consider to be the darkest on the entire platform. The Real Screams of Hell. This classic video from 2011 reportedly shares an audio clip from a Soviet experiment in which a team of researchers drilled a hole as far as they could into the surface of the Earth. However, upon reaching 14.4 kilometers, the drill suddenly broke through into what seemed to be a large pocket of open space and air. Immediately, the temperature at the site of the drill tip rose to a staggering 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, but that was far from the most unusual discovery, as immediately the scientists began to hear the faint sound of screaming emanating from a small opening in the earth. So curiously, they lowered a heat-resistant microphone into the hole, and this is what they recorded.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Yeah, those are definitely screams of hell.
According to the video, this audio shows the persistent screaming from those trapped in hell.
Yep.
And though certainly very creepy,
that is definitely what that is.
Than a fabrication.
I played Dante's Inferno before. That is definitely what that is.
The Soviets did actually perform a similar experiment in which they drilled 12 miles below the Earth's crust, but nothing supernatural was ever recorded. Marina Mordegard Glezgorov. This entry was actually my first encounter with a YouTube mystery back when I was probably around 11 years old, and needless to say, it led to countless sleepless nights. The story revolves around a 20-second video posted to YouTube that showed a man sitting and staring expressionless into the camera, before the shot suddenly cuts to a man smiling nefariously for the final 2 seconds. Aside from being slightly off-putting, the supposed full version of this video is said to be cursed and have horrific effects on whoever views it. According to the legend, this is only part of the actual video. The full video lasts 2 minutes and was removed by YouTube after 153 people who viewed the video gouged their eyes out and mailed them to YouTube's main office in San Bruno. The video itself was only viewed by one YouTube staff member who started screaming after 45 seconds. The man is under constant sedatives and is apparently unable to recall what he saw. The other people who were in the room with him said all they could hear was a high-pitched drilling noise, but none of them dared to look at the screen. Supposed videos of this full version have found their way to YouTube over the years, and though they too are quite creepy, it's not hard to tell that this is just another internet myth. They even went on to identify who this man actually was, though I wish someone would have told that to 11-year-old me. Levitating Girl in the Woods. While on a walk in an unnamed forest in
Levitate,
Russia,
levitate,
the
levitate,
dog
levitate.
suddenly bolts off, uncharacteristically running away
Nah,
from
don't
its
get
owner
you high,
and failing to listen to
there.
his commands. And upon chasing him deeper into the woods, the owner comes face to face with a bizarre scene.
Tarzan, come here.
She vibing.
In front of him appeared to be a young girl levitating in the air next to her mother, and upon the cameraman's dog barking, the child comes back down to the ground and runs off, disappearing into the woods. This is another one of those videos that always gave me the creeps back in the day, and watching it back today, it's definitely still a bit scary, but realistically, it's probably nothing more than a hoax.
Yeah, shit.
Marina Joyce. This
I like how
entry
he's
refers to one
speedrunning
of the
this
more
shit.
bizarre moments in YouTube's history, as rumors began swirling back in 2016 that popular YouTuber Marina Joyce had been kidnapped and was being forced to make videos. The concern arose as the 19-year-old creator, who
I
was
feel like I
typically
heard her
bubbly
before.
and full of life, began acting differently. In her videos, she seemed to be incredibly nervous, with her eyes constantly shifting off camera, as if someone was directing her on what to do. In one instance, you could even see a finger of someone behind the scenes pointing to where she should stand. And the bizarre moments continued from there, as viewers noticed an influx of bruises on her arms, a moment where she appears to whisper, "Help me," and a gun in the background of one of her videos. During the time, the internet was fixated on this case, which eventually led to the police doing a wellness check on the girl, who clarified that she was safe and she supposedly wasn't actually kidnapped. Marina eventually explained that her change in personality was simply due to her escalating depression, though to this day many believe that she staged the whole ordeal.
Yeah, that's what she did.
Angel of Death.
For clout.
This video was the very first scary video that I ever saw on YouTube, when my friend showed it to me in his basement all the way back in 2008, and honestly it left me traumatized and sleepless for weeks, and I still remember it to this day. The video, which I sadly can't show due to age restriction, shows a soccer match in which a player by the name of Abdulrahman Al-Shuaibi is
I think I
accidentally
remember
kicked
seeing
in the head
this.
by an opponent. And following this, something extremely disturbing happens to
Yo,
him.
I remember
First,
seeing
he
this
immediately
video.
falls to the ground and then springs to his feet in a
And then he
shockingly
get up and then he
unnatural
start
manner.
running around and then he
Once
just drop
finds his
dead.
footing, he begins jogging backwards, as if he had no control over his body. He finally comes to a stop as he falls to his knees, and his body bends back in the most chilling way possible, to which he then falls completely limp to the ground, landing face first and supposedly dying right there on the field.
Yo.
This video is actually very real and is incredibly shocking to watch, but thankfully, Al-Shuaibi would not actually lose his life. Instead, he suffered from a major seizure as a result of the kick to the head, causing his movements to become completely involuntary. But he would quickly go on to make a full recovery and would actually play in the team's very next match.
That video was so fucking old. I
Certain
forgot about that
sacrifice.
shit.
This video, taken outside the CERN Geneva
Holy
campus,
shit.
shows a group of hooded men, accompanied by one woman, gathering beneath a large statue of the Hindu god Shiva. The men then surround the woman who lies on the ground in the middle, as one man approaches her with a knife and proceeds to stab her, much to the shock of the person recording the ordeal. But unsurprisingly, this video too was later proven to be a hoax, with CERN later admitting that some of their scientists had been the ones to carry out the prank while they were attending the campus. Blank Room Soup. Perhaps the most infamous creepy video in YouTube's entire
I can't wait
history.
till it gets to the
This
bottom of
strange
the
clip
iceberg.
shows a man feverishly eating
'Cause all
a
this
bowl
shit
of
is
soup
hoax
in an
shit,
all-white
fake shit.
room. A strange figure
I
in
wanna
a
see that
horrifying
real
costume
dark
then
shit.
approaches the man from behind and begins to console him before another figure appears in frame. The two then rub the man's back as he begins to cry, while
I
off
remember
camera
this too.
you can hear the faint sound of laughter.
I feel like this is like a classic like dark video on YouTube though.
The origin of this video today still
lot of
seems to be
YouTubers
a
talk
mystery,
about this.
but the costumes themselves were found to have been invented by an artist named Raymond Percy, who is best known for his work on Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia. To this day, he denies any involvement and claims that the costumes were stolen and used for God knows what. However, it does seem more likely that this is just some kind of art project, to which Percy was involved with at least in some capacity. But because he has never fully confessed to it, for now we can only make assumptions. Lost in the Catacombs. This entry refers to a VHS tape supposedly discovered within the Paris catacombs by an urban explorer. On it, the footage shows a man casually filming their journey into the claustrophobic maze of death, before their behavior starts to change. For unknown reasons, the man begins to panic and starts to sprint through the dark catacombs, before dropping his camera in a puddle and running off into the darkness, never to return. If this clip is real, it's very likely that whoever was behind the camera suffered from some sort of anxiety attack due to the claustrophobic and just overall terrifying nature of the catacombs. Those strange symbols and unexplained noises in the background have led others to point to more supernatural explanations. Either way, if it is to be believed, it's likely whoever this man was did not survive the trip. However, most people nowadays believe that this was nothing more than a hoax, potentially put on by an old TV show called Scary But True, where the footage was first aired. And though this is most likely the case, it's interesting to note that the footage does actually show the inside of the catacombs, meaning that if they really did fake this clip, then they definitely went all out for it.
Fake news.
Before we go any further down this iceberg, I have to first bring up something that is truly haunting: body odor. That is why I highly recommend today's sponsor.
Yeah, because some of y'all niggas stink.
Dr.
Tier 2. Tip of the iceberg. 00390. 00390 refers to a YouTube channel that has been active for over half a decade and continues to post to this day. There are many disturbing videos on this YouTube channel that point to its creator seemingly being some sort of kidnapper and potentially even a serial killer. Though in reality, this doesn't appear to be true. Rather, 00390 seems to be instead an ARG, as some of its most infamous videos were actually taken from completely separate sources. And overall, it seems to be more of an art project than anything. But at the end of the day, we really don't know for sure what its origins are. Blood Soup, Svartsapa, 1995.
I don't think ARGs count.
Svartsapa 1995 is a low-res 6-minute YouTube video with less than 1,000 views, 818 at the time of writing. The video begins with what seems to be a sketchy blood drive taking place in an unknown location, where all of the blood collected is put into one big pot. The ingredients for a dish known as Svartsapa are then flashed on the screen, which include the word blod, the Swedish word for blood. We then see the blood taken from the participants mixed in a bowl with the rest of the recipe to create what is essentially human blood soup. The camera then cuts to a scene within a pub where the soup is being served and then eaten by a table full of people. While it's quite uncomfortable to watch and leaves us with many questions, the video is actually nothing more than an art project carried out by a man named Pelle Thorsen. Though that doesn't mean that it wasn't all fake, as part of this performance actually did entail eating the actual soup, which is more disgusting than anything else. New DPRK. New DPRK is a channel that was created back in 2019 that supposedly shows what life is like in North Korea. Each video paints the country as a utopia, filled with happy citizens and a thriving economy, which is quite the contrast to what most of us know about the region. And that's entirely by design, as in actuality, the channel was quite literally created by the North Korean government.
Yeah. Propaganda.
This entire page was set up as a way to spread propaganda to the rest of the world.
Come on now, we're not stupid.
To mask the true conditions of the country, whose citizens are subjected to an incredible...
Bruh, ain't none of us fucking stupid, bruh.
And overall, it's very off-putting seeing how normal some of these videos are, despite how dark their reality is behind the scenes. Bizarre fetishes. This is a strange one. YouTube is an extremely diverse platform that is home to all sorts of niche communities. Most are fairly normal, but the deeper you dig, the stranger and darker they seem to become.
Yeah, that shit get nasty.
For example, take a look at this YouTube channel called Amputees. Bro. All of its videos are uploaded of people who have had amputations, along with a favorites playlist, all containing dozens of other clips showing similar content.
It's so fucking
Even more
weird.
unusual, many of these clips have hundreds of thousands of views on them, leading to the question, why? Well, this is actually an account that seems to be dedicated to some sort of amputee fetish, with a select group of people consuming this material in a sexual way. And though there's nothing wrong with finding someone with an amputation attractive, this fetish seems to go a bit deeper than that, as on this page are videos of actual amputation surgeries, which are also being viewed sexually. Kanye West Suicide Song. The Kanye West Suicide Song alludes to a leaked track by Kanye called Never See Me Again. The song features a sample of Futari Dake No Ceremony by Yukiko Okada,
heard about
a
this.
Japanese singer who committed suicide in the 80s at the age of 21.
This song was
who
kind of dark,
Kanye
bro.
had been studying, even going as far as moving to Japan where he would write this song. And to go along with this dark sample, Kanye's lyricism seems downtrodden and almost defeated, repeating the lines, "It'll be a long time before you ever see me again." Adding to the story, this came during a time in Kanye's life where his mental health had supposedly reached a breaking point and was said to be the lowest time of his life. And given the lyrics, the sample, and the context within his own personal life, it's believed that this song was ultimately meant to be a suicide note, which he would release directly before taking his life. Thankfully, this would never happen. However, the song itself would leak to YouTube years later, where it is now referred to as his suicide song, as his lyrics seem to confirm his intentions. Monkey hate. We mentioned the bizarre fetish rabbit hole that certain YouTube channels and playlists can lead you down. But one of the most baffling and disturbing examples of this is without a doubt the trend of monkey hate on YouTube. There are countless videos and channels dedicated to this unusual trend, but essentially, the content typically shows a monkey or multiple monkeys being tortured in various ways. And though that is sickening enough, the comments are truly what make it horrifying, as users glorify this treatment as saying things like, "Ha ha 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 ha, it's getting everything it deserves," or "Give it to me, I'll give it a good home." Why this type of content is popular and gets the comments it does is not fully understood, but theories range from it being another sort of twisted fetish to it being coded racism. Either way, it truly accounts for one of the darkest sections on all of YouTube. Much like monkey hate, this entry deals with a similarly depraved form of animal abuse, though this has been documented frequently across Nick's channel and will be further highlighted in a video coming later this year. So for the sake of brevity, I won't go deeper into this. Taunting terminally ill girl. Sometimes people will be evil for seemingly no good reason, and this stands out as one of the most inexplicably mean-spirited events ever documented on the web. Kathleen Edwards was a girl who had fallen terminally ill about a decade ago with the same disease, Huntington's, that took the life of her mother at age 24. But whereas nothing seems more deserving of sympathy than a terminally ill child, not everyone viewed the situation in the same manner. And their neighbor, Jennifer Petcove, was instead actively rooting for the death of the child, apparently stemming from her kid not being invited to a party at Kathleen's grandmother's house. Petcove went on a tirade, first posting a disturbing image of the Grim Reaper holding Kathleen's dead mother to the web. Then she posted a skull and crossbones on Facebook, but instead of a regular skull, it was Kathleen's face. And Kathleen's grandmother even said that there was an incident in which Petcove stood on her front porch and yelled, when Kathleen was outside, "I wish that kid would hurry up and die." with the lady going as far as to deck their vehicle out as a hearse.
Her dispute features a hearse hauling a coffin. Kathleen's family and neighbors say it's been used to harass Kathleen and her mom before
she
her death.
was fucking.
And seeing an interview with her,
One of the biggest fucking haters in
there's
history.
Absolutely no remorse.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
And that is?
To keep my opinions and my views to myself.
In the years since, it appears that Kathleen Edwards has sadly passed away from her condition, meaning some of the precious final years of her life were unfortunately spent dealing with this unnecessary and disturbed harassment.
She probably was fucking cheering her ass off.
Harrison O'Kinney rescue footage. Harrison O'Kinney was a cook aboard the Jascone 4, a Nigerian tugboat, when he experienced what would be best described as a real-life nightmare. While getting ready at 5 a.m. in the ship's bathroom, a giant wave struck the ship, tearing a hole in the hull and causing the vessel to sink beneath the water. 10 of the 12 crew members on that ship were killed, but O'Kinney had miraculously survived, with the only problem being that he was trapped in the ship's bathroom, and the ship was sinking quickly. Unable to escape, the man accepted his fate before something miraculous happened. A small air bubble had formed in the ship's bathroom where Harrison just so happened to be, and despite the ship now being at the bottom of the ocean, Harrison was still able to breathe. This went on for an astonishing 60 hours when he was finally discovered by a rescue crew that was only coming to the ship to identify and collect bodies.
Amazing.
Okay. All right. All right.
With the rescue being caught on camera and later uploaded to YouTube, you can see the shock in O'Kinney's eyes, a man who must have all but given up hope while waiting for the oxygen in the air bubble to run out. O'Kinney went on to survive and eventually be released from the hospital to live a normal life, though he has sworn to never go out to sea again.
Random acts of violence. This entry refers to the numerous clips across YouTube depicting, well, random acts of violence. The most well-known example of this came back in 2017, when a video would be shared across the site showing a jogger pushing a woman in front of a bus. Luckily, the woman narrowly escaped death, as the bus swerved at the last possible second. But the video remains as a reminder of how cruel people can be, as the shove was done completely at random, and the man went out of his way to try and essentially end this woman's life, for no apparent reason. The popularity of the video led to a worldwide search to try and determine the identity of this man, but frustratingly, he has remained anonymous. Though this is by far the most popular example, it's sadly far from the only example. Like this video, which shows a woman in her mid-50s planting flowers along a sidewalk in Seattle. And though her actions were incredibly innocent,
some people is just fucking evil, yo.
By would approach her from behind and kick her directly in the face, leaving the woman badly injured. This man was thankfully caught and identified as 19-year-old Isaiah Clay Lewis, who had a history of domestic abuse as well as other assault charges. Thankfully, it appears that he is still in prison, awaiting his trial.
People is just fucking evil.
This strange video was shot at a mall in Kazakhstan, where a group of people crowd around a man who appears completely frozen in an upright position.
He died like Whitebeard from One Piece.
The crowd never successfully gets the man to move, and chillingly, when the medics went to pick him up, his body was completely stiff. The title of this video suggests that this man had somehow died standing up, and looking at the video, it's easy to see why, as not once does the man move. But in reality, something even stranger happened. It was said that the man had spent the entire day binge drinking when his body suffered an incredibly rare symptom called alcoholic stupor. This is the final stage of alcohol intoxication before coma, and occurs when the blood alcohol content level is nearly 0.40. For reference, you're considered drunk when you're at 0.08. This causes the person to lose motor function, and stops them from responding to any stimuli around them. In this instance, it led to the man essentially freezing in place, apparently for well over an hour. Luckily, medics were able to pump the man's stomach, and he would go on to make a full recovery. Though this video remains chilling nonetheless, as there's something so unnatural and off-putting about a man stuck in time, likely one drink away from death. Rabies in humans. When we think of rabies, we typically think about wild animals who foam at the mouth when they contract it. But sadly, humans are susceptible to this terrifying disease as well. It first causes flu-like symptoms that quickly progress into agitation, confusion, and aggression. As things progress, humans begin to hallucinate and suffer from hydrophobia, or the fear of water. This disease is devastating and virtually 100% fatal after the first symptoms emerge. Luckily, we now have an effective vaccine against rabies.
Low key, I forgot we was watching the fucking Nick Crowley video.
Was available that show these haunting effects on camera. Some of the most
Georgie started
disturbing
talking, and we was just watching the
who
Georgie
had
video.
developed a fear of
That shit
water,
just threw me the fuck
which
off.
likely led him to pass away due to dehydration. Flocka videos. Flocka is a synthetic drug that attempts to stimulate the effects of cocaine and methamphetamine for a much cheaper price tag. But like many drugs, they can often take over a person and make them completely unlike themselves. Flocka is commonly referred to as the zombie drug, and the videos here on YouTube show us exactly why many call it that, as it makes these people look and act like legitimate zombies. These videos are extremely prevalent across the site, and they all serve as a warning to stay far away from Flocka. Russian dog experiments. Ah yes, this one is old but gold. This refers to a video created by Soviet scientist Sergei Brokaninko, a man best known for creating one of the first heart and lung machines. And though this invention has revolutionized the world of medicine, its roots are very dark, as during the testing phase, Sergei would use dogs to test his machine. The video shows the head of a dog, detached from its body, but with Sergei's machine, it's still alive. It's extremely disturbing, but experiments like this were very common back in the 50s and 60s, as on another occasion, scientists attached the head of a dog onto another healthy dog. The result was this: a dog with two heads, both of which were actually functioning. The dog would go on to survive for 38 days before it eventually perished.
Niggas is making real life homunculus and shit.
At first glance, this video appears relatively normal.
That's
as
wild.
it portrays exactly what the title says. It shows a group visiting a junkyard and finding an old car, in which they remove the seat from and turn it into a gaming chair. However, looking a bit closer, you start to realize that the video is far stranger than it seems, as when looking at the car's windshield, you can notice several bullet holes, a few of which enter the vehicle directly in front of the seat they chose. And to make it stranger, when the cameraman is showing off the seat, you can see what appears to be long dried blood in the back, making it likely that someone had been shot and maybe even killed whilst sitting in that very seat. And strangest of all, no one in the video reacts to it at all.
Are you serious?
Adding to the unsettling atmosphere of the clip.
Oh, fucking slow.
This was the original name of a channel run by a young man who seemed to have an obsession with a number of girls.
Maybe
he
they
would
just
find
didn't
girls
give a
like hot
fuck.
as I. Some were contestants on Wheel of Fortune, while others were childhood stars or even just random internet users. And then he would obsessively post about them on one of his many channels, as he's known to have at least 10 accounts. The videos are incredibly creepy, as this person simply whispers the name of these young women over and over again. In one particular clip, he even doxed one of the girls in the description, making it clear that he had been actively trying to locate her behind the scenes.
Whoa.
BHFS. Spanning a total of just 8 seconds, this video showcases what is likely the most devastating moment of a man's life. It shows a cluster of dead cattle and a man, who is lying with them in the background, thrashing and screaming at the top of his lungs. No words were spoken, and no context is given to the video, but it's not hard to assume that the man wailing in the back was the owner of these animals, and their sudden death had broken him. Those cattle were clearly everything to him, and were likely one of the main things supporting him and potentially his family. Yet, in an instant, they were gone, for reasons unknown. I wish we knew more about what was really happening here, as the clip seems so reminiscent of the Lake Niles incident, discussed previously on this channel. But ultimately, the man's reaction tells us all we really need to know about how devastating this video really is. El Chapo's son. El Chapo's son refers to a video posted by the New York Times, which includes body cam footage of the moment they discovered Ovidio Guzman Lopez, the son of Joaquin Guzman, better known as
this shit was crazy.
Lopez himself is the cartel leader, and his capture was said to be a long time coming, given the countless crimes he had committed.
Nah,
However,
this shit was crazy.
Arrest, the Mexican government would
this was so fucking bizarre.
When the Sinaloa cartel took over much of the city. In the days after this video was filmed, virtually every officer shown in the footage would be hunted down and killed by the cartel they had been trying to stop. Pastor Bit by Snake. Pastor Bit by Snake refers to a video depicting a ritual performed by Cody Coots, a pastor at the Full Gospel Tabernacle Church, located in Kentucky, is known in particular for their rituals, which involve drinking poisons and handling venomous snakes to prove your devotion to God.
What the fuck?
Yeah. In the video,
What?
we see Cody delivering a sermon in 2018 with confidence, before the snake abruptly bites him.
Oh!
He continues to deliver the sermon, but quickly becomes so weak that he had to be carried out of the church and rushed to the hospital. He would survive, but only after 10 days in the ICU, meaning that this bite left him within inches of his life. But perhaps the strangest part of all of this is the fact that his father, Jamie Coots, had sustained a venomous snake bite during this exact type of ritual back in 2013. Like his son, Jamie had been holding the snake too closely, prompting it to sink its venomous fangs into him. However, unlike his son, Jamie would not survive the ordeal, as he passed away soon after.
Damn.
Hiccup Girl. Hiccup Girl refers to Jennifer Mee, a Floridian woman who became known in 2007 for her seemingly never-ending case of hiccups. In the video, she gives information on trying to stop it, how long it's been going on, etc.
Abdominal pains, throat pains, back pains. It's unbelievable.
The video itself is harmless. It's what happens after that gives it a hindsight case of sinister energy. In June 2007, Mee's popularity waned after she successfully cured her hiccups, but she gained more attention after it was reported that she ran away from home. From there, she reportedly began to rob people with partners Lamont Newton and LaRon Rayford. This continued until 2010, in which she lured a man with the help of Newton and Rayford into a house before
How you gonna rob
him.
somebody with hiccups?
They apparently got $50 from the robbery and were soon after arrested. Mee's attorney attempted to defend her by saying she had schizophrenia, evidencing her hiccups as a side effect, but this did not work, and she currently serves life in prison
Give me
without parole.
fucking money. Give me
Video,
fucking money right now. Yo, you're the hiccup girl.
What such an innocent seeming
God damn
figure
it.
became over the course of 3 years, to go from hiccuping on the news to life without parole on the news.
Hello everybody, it's me, Wendigoon, and today I am so happy that the Nick Crowley invited me to talk to you all.
Bro
about
got
level
all the
4 of this
fucking
Iceberg.
YouTube
Now,
Detective
I've been a fan of
Avengers,
Nick Crowley
bro, for this
forever.
video.
In fact, he was one of the main inspirations for me to start a channel. So for me to get to a point where I, a person who's never even seen an iceberg in real life, gets invited onto his channel is a really big deal, and Nick, it really does mean a lot. But enough with the sappy stuff. I know you all want to continue on with this iceberg, so I am happy to take you on the journey through Tier 4, the body. Heaven's Gate Exit Statements. Heaven's Gate Exit Statements refers to a 2-hour-long video where members of the infamous Heaven's Gate cult gave their final statements before the group's mass suicide in March of 1997. Heaven's Gate believed a variety of things, but in the 90s they became convinced that their bodies were merely containers or vehicles for consciousness, and that upon death, they would be transferred into what they considered their next level bodies.
If you use the analogy of a car, people may keep their cars for a long time before they finally wear out and they clunk out. Or some people, they say, well, here's a newer model, it's much nicer. This one, doesn't quite perform the way I could, and I'd like to move into this new car. So get rid of the old one, get a new one. I mean, that's about all we're talking about. It's not a big deal.
Shortly after the filming, every member shown in this video would take their own life by consuming a poisonous blend of applesauce or pudding before tying plastic bags to their heads and passing away in their beds. Our next entry is Albert Soap. Albert Soap was a 22-year-old YouTuber who posted a vast array of content across the site, but his most recent endeavor was producing and starring in fictional videos about Vikings. The videos portray a unique blend of comedy and genuinely emotional moments and featured an extremely high production value. But sadly, when shooting for the latest installment of his Viking series, tragedy would strike. In the summer of 2021, Albert would climb a tall cliff in the Italian Alps in order to get the perfect scenic shot for his video. Near the top, Albert would start to lose his footing before eventually plummeting 656 feet to the ground below, killing him instantly.
God damn it!
It's also worth noting that some have claimed Albert actually recorded his fall, with a few videos being found on YouTube claiming to show his final moments. But to this point, I don't think any of these have been confirmed, and out of respect, they won't be shown here.
Shit, yeah, please leave that shit.
Is that this isn't the
leave
only
that
situation
shit
of a YouTuber potentially recording their own death. And whenever I hear about a case like this, it's incredibly haunting to go back and watch everything that led up to it. And it's like whenever you're watching that person in those
leave that shit private.
You know the eventual end that their story is going to lead to before
Jesus
the person
fucking
in the video
Christ.
does. And there's something so temporally haunting about that. And it's absolutely a tragedy. She's Still Sleeping. She's Still Sleeping refers to a video of the same title in which YouTuber Timothy Birmingham records one of his typical morning vlogs. In it, he jokes that his wife is sleeping in later than usual, even briefly showing the room in which she was lying.
Yo, I remember hearing about this actually. This is pretty disturbing.
Timothy, she's still sleeping.
While this seems sweet and innocent, the truth behind this video is much more tragic. It turns out that Timothy's wife had actually passed away in her sleep, hence why she appeared to be sleeping for so long. And when filming and even after uploading, Timothy hadn't realized that the love of his life was actually dead. It's truly sad to see a nice guy like Timothy go through something like this, especially publicly on YouTube. But it's satisfying to know that he remained in good spirits and continues posting videos to this day. In the subsequent uploads that he had after this, he spoke about how having the YouTube audience and the comments there to help him through this experience, which he vlogged throughout, was a huge help to him. And he felt
somebody in the comments was probably like, alright, so who gonna tell him?
So while initially a very shocking and, as it should be, tragic situation, there's also a little bit of light in that the fact he was able to share that moment with so many people led to so much care and attention being put towards him. That while not a happy ending, it's definitely better than it could have turned out. Up next is Colleen Ritzer CCTV. The Colleen Ritzer CCTV video refers to the disturbing Philip Kism trial, in which a 14-year-old student of the same name had raped and murdered his 24-year-old teacher, Colleen Ritzer, in a bathroom of the school. Following the incident, he would put her in a garbage can and roll her out of the school.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that situation.
Everything leading up to and immediately following this murder was chillingly caught on the school CCTV.
Bro, I'm telling you, there's just some evil ass people in this world. Ain't really no reason to it. Some niggas is just evil.
The bathroom, unaware of the fact that Philip had been following closely behind her. The footage also shows Philip wheeling out the garbage can that he put Colleen's body into as he walks out of frame heading towards the woods. Philip was eventually caught after Ritzard's body was discovered in the nearby forest, and he is currently serving a life sentence with 40 years parole eligibility. Cases like this provide an especially large amount of fear, at least for me, because whenever you're in the public sphere, you feel like that you're safe or at least seen. But as things like this prove, evil can still happen even if under a watchful eye. And while the footage itself and what happened to Colleen Ritzer is absolutely abysmal, it is good that it was there as a means of putting Philip behind bars for good. After that, we have the infamous RJ the Smoker. RJ the Smoker was a channel run by a man named RJ who would discuss a variety of smoking related topics as well as actually smoking and reviewing different types of cigarettes. His first upload, My First Smoking Vid, was posted on January 22nd of 2010 and would be followed by hundreds of other videos throughout the years. RJ seemed to have a passion for tobacco, smoking, and YouTube, but unfortunately this seemed to lead to his downfall. From his first video to October 2015, all seemed well until RJ posted a video titled Important Update.
RJ presented himself to Whips Cross Hospital in East London. X-ray was done, and what followed was a chain of events I could not even dream in my worst nightmare.
About hearing
In
about
this
these
video, he
smoking
describes his
fetish
recent
niggas.
visit to the doctor and his lung cancer diagnosis. Even at this point, RJ looked like a shell of the person smoking in My First Smoking Vid. But from this moment on, RJ declined even further. During this time, he would shift his focus from solely smoking and begin a series documenting his journey with cancer. He remained active on the channel until November 4th of 2016, when cancer finally claimed his life. This is especially chilling, not only because, as I mentioned earlier, there are several cases of people chronicling their death on YouTube. However, there are not many cases of people chronicling what led to it. And whenever you put the sum of all of it together, it's not only a tragic story, but also a sort of cautionary tale. Up next, we have Chelino Sanchez. Chelino Sanchez refers to the popular Mexican singer, Chelino Sanchez, who made a string of hits during his career in the 80s and early 90s. He's best known for creating narco corridos, a subgenre of Mexican folk music that deals with tales of the drug trade and cartel life. His final performance can be found on YouTube, where he's shown receiving a note on stage. Chelino ponders the contents of the note for a moment, with sweat beading down his forehead before he finally begins to sing. Hours after the concert,
Jesus
his
Christ.
body would be found blindfolded, tied up, and dumped by a river, 2 gunshots in the back of the head.
Oh my
It would
God.
later be revealed that the note Chelino was handed had come straight from the cartel, who viewed the songs he sang as a threat to their business. The letter was a threat, telling him that if he chose to perform that night, he would be killed, yet Chelino decided to sing anyway, despite knowing that it would cost him his life.
Wow.
All the ones I've covered up until this point are very sad and tragic stories, and this is also a sad
Holy
and tragic story,
shit.
But Chelino was a baller. Imagine that. You have spent all this time talking about the evils and the wickedness of the cartel, and one night they say, if you do this show, we're gonna kill you, and you just start singing. Our next entry is...
Nigga was making bangers though. He said, fuck it, I'm gonna go out with a
Diana
bang.
refers to a former YouTube channel run by a woman of the same name. She would create meal tutorials along with short vlogs documenting her travels.
Welcome to my kitchen, where I really like to cook, but I'm often short on time, so speed is the hook.
The contents of her channel is completely harmless. However, outside of YouTube, Loveday's story is far more sinister. In June of 2014, Loveday filed for divorce from her ex-husband, Greg Mulvihill, after 7 years of marriage. And while she was initially granted full custody of her children, Greg went on to file for joint custody, causing Loveday to launch a string of accusations in order to maintain full control of their kids. By the summer of 2016, the court would rule that Loveday had to share custody with Mulvihill as well as pay him child support, causing a variety of changes in her life like selling her condo, among other things. But this is where it takes a strange turn. On the 4th of September of 2016, Greg received a phone call from a number he didn't recognize. The person on the line claimed to be a private investigator who had information on the custody battle that could help in his favor. Warily, Greg and his friend Jason Kovac went to the dirt path of Avedina Soledad. There, a man came out and shot Greg in his torso before quickly fleeing the area. Thankfully, Greg would survive the attack as the bullet had missed any vital organs and has gone on to make a full recovery. Soon after, it was discovered that none other than Diana Loveday masterminded the assassination attempt against her ex-husband in order to win back full custody of her children. She and co-conspirator and lover Weldon McDavid were found guilty in the court and are currently serving lengthy sentences. So this one I can have a bit more fun with because
That's
no
crazy
one
as
actually
hell.
died. So my challenge to you, because the channel's still up, is to find a cooking video and then show your mom and midway through be like, hey, you know she tried to kill her husband? And then let me, or more specifically Nick, know in the comments how that goes, because this isn't my video, so I can sabotage this all I want. So thanks, Nick. Up next, we have Dolly Flesh. Dolly Flesh is the name of a claymation channel, whose work is nothing shy of disturbing. In these videos, scenes of murder and rape would be graphically depicted, and over time the content only got more and more disturbed and detailed. But it's not just the artwork that makes this channel so twisted, as it more so has to do with the creator behind it. The man's name is Leighton Allen Lebu, and in May of 2019 he would publish the video 1 Kid, 3 Hamsters to the Dolly Flesh channel.
I recently purchased some hamsters from PetSmart. I got 3 of them. I haven't thought of names yet. I'm not so good with names because I can't keep them. Make up mine when it comes to names.
The clip shows Leighton playing with 3 hamsters that had just recently been bought from the pet store. And though nothing of note is shown in the clip, the description provides a haunting clue of what Leighton would do with these innocent animals, as it read, pinned, stabbed, drowned, microwaved. In the following days, a video would emerge across the web of Leighton using those very tactics to torture each hamster, eventually killing them. The video received so much attention that Leighton would actually be arrested for abusing the animals, and he has yet to return to YouTube since. I'm decently familiar with this case because a friend of mine, Turkey Tom, made an excellent video about this, which shout out to that guy. But what was especially haunting to me about going through the accounts and everything associated with it is it initially started as these very graphic claymation depictions between just 2 random claymation figures, but then he began incorporating himself into the fantasies, and then after that he began to wear
doing that shit for real.
And then we see the violence go from the claymation figures to hamsters, and the entire thing put together is like
he wanted to do that shit for real.
Serial killer behavior. And considering that he will be out fairly early, or at least in the next few years if I remember correctly, this is a message to everyone: be on the lookout for Leighton Lebu wherever he turns up, because my money is on the fact that he's not going to leave the internet or popularity for good. Up next, we have Jating Min Til Hildar. I know I pronounced something wrong there, and I'm very sorry. Jating Min Til Hildar, which translates to My Confession to Hildur, is a video by a man named Gunnar Runar Sigurþórsson, I'm so sorry, who was confessing his love to a woman named Hildur. He believed that he and Hildur shared a special romantic connection, and he soon fell in love with her, with this video being the first time he'd share his feelings openly.
Hi. Detta myndband Ætlaðan Hildi. Þetta frekar erfitt fyrir mig að segja. Það rosalega feimin. En
However, his love was misguided, as Hildur had been happily married at the time to a man named Haynes Helgason. This enraged Gunnar, and looking to free Hildur of this relationship, he decided to visit Haynes late one night. He proceeded to sneak into the man's house before violently attacking and killing him in his sleep. But worst of all, due to a number of legal loopholes in Gunnar's home country of Iceland, he's currently not even in prison. And as we speak, he's out there living as a free man. Even worse, he's reportedly been active on Tinder in recent years as well, making one wonder what he'll do in the name of love next. There's jokes about Iceland being such a peaceful country that they don't even have like a crime watch or investigative branch of government. I don't think they're jokes. Like, this dude, clear as day, straight up murdered someone, but because paperwork wasn't filed right somewhere, they're like, all right, get out of here. Like the warning I gave about Dolly Flesh, if you're in the country of Iceland and you have Tinder, just keep that in mind. But moving on, we have rising kayaking star.
And you're going to run Great Falls 3 years later.
I am.
That doesn't strike you as overreaching?
I wouldn't say overreaching. It would strike me as confident.
Rising kayaking star refers to the 60-minute special done on extreme kayaker Shannon Christie, which would follow her participation in an annual kayaking race in the Potomac River. Day one of the bout went off without a hitch, as Shannon had spent the day learning the rapids and getting accustomed to the area. But the following day was much different.
2 days before the race was to start, our cameras spotted an empty kayak at the bottom of the falls. It was Shannon Christie's. No one saw it happen, but somehow she had come out of her kayak, been swept over subway, and killed.
Jesus.
Her body trapped under an avalanche of water.
When the film crew arrives at the rapids to film for the day, they immediately find Shannon's kayak flipped upside down floating in the middle of the river. The remainder of the video follows search efforts to try and locate the woman until they eventually locate her body, which was pinned under the water by the force of a waterfall. Sadly, Shannon was no longer alive. Whenever I went on vacation to Niagara Falls, we got to one of the water swells at the bottom of the falls themselves, and the guide said that you can take a life jacket, throw it in the water, it'll suck down, and then it won't come up for 2 weeks. So imagine what would happen at the base of these waterfalls to a person. So this doesn't speak anything against Shannon or her capabilities, just the fact that water and nature is a very powerful force to be reckoned with.
Shit, dangerous.
And then finally, for the last entry on this tier, we have Mr. Anime.
Oh,
Mr. Anime
Jesus
refers
Christ.
to a YouTube channel known as Lynn's Cat Productions.
I think we remember
aka
hearing about
Trey
this nigga,
Sessler.
actually.
Sessler was one of the early adopters of YouTube, starting his channel all the way back in 2006. He, along with a few other YouTube channels, became known for posting videos talking about and critiquing anime. He's commonly credited with kickstarting the general anime community on the platform. Sessler had a dark side though, one that became increasingly hard to hide as time went on. While his fame and channel grew, behind the scenes Sessler had become obsessed with disturbing topics like serial killers and mass shooters. But unlike the true crime fans of today, Sessler seemed to be an active admirer of these figures, even going as far as to make rankings of his favorite mass shooters and serial killers. Eventually, this led to his decision that he would become a mass shooter himself, and for years he loaded up on weapons while studying the methods of the killers that he admired. Real weapons began to make appearances in his videos, and violence became a more prevalent topic of discussion on his channel. Then in February of 2012, he announced on YouTube that he would be taking a short break. He would then post an update in March that he had found a job and that the channel would be slowing down.
This is just an update video to let you guys know that I'm going to reward myself with probably a 2 or 3 week break coming up here from YouTube videos, anime reviews in particular.
But what happened next, only Sessler could have seen coming. On March 20th of 2012, Sessler lured his mother into their garage before shooting and killing her. He then entered the house and murdered his brother and father. While it seemed totally random, his reasoning behind this was that he didn't want his family to see what he was about to do next. Sessler planned to become the most infamous mass shooter in history. To do this, he planned to go to a school down the street where a pep rally was set to take place later that day.
Definitely gonna see that shit from
in the
heaven.
gymnasium, and if he managed to kill over 70 people there, he would become the worst mass shooter in recorded history. Soon after murdering his family, loading up ammunition, and beginning his journey to Waller High, he ultimately backed out at the last second and returned home. He was arrested days later and charged with murder. He currently serves life in prison, and while his YouTube channel was removed last year, the re-uploads that still exist show a well-liked figure in YouTube history whose dark side unfortunately boiled over. And it's crazy to think that had he not had a change of heart in that final moment, countless others could have lost their lives that day. And while it's of course a great thing that he did not carry out the full intent of this massacre, being able to go back and watch the early signs in combination with the knowledge of the evils that he would one day commit make the entire story incredibly devastating. And like I've talked about with other stories on this tier, it's interesting how YouTube creates an avenue that all forms of people can be watched at any point within their life.
That shit is
that
wild,
to the
bro.
effect, even after something as atrocious and horrible as this happens, there's still records for us to go back and look at, with hopefully the knowledge that things learned from the past will be able to help us in the future. But that is all for me, and I want to say again, thank you so much, Nick, for having me on your channel. It really is humbling and it's fantastic. I hope I did an okay job, and I really appreciate it. Once again, I am Wendigoon. Link will maybe be in the description if Nick wants to. I don't know. I don't tell him what to
Hey,
do.
but rest in peace, Takeoff.
But I am Wendigoon. I was glad to be able to go through that tier with you, as dark as it was. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. And Nick,
I am
back to you.
prepared to lose all my viewers now because I'm about to switch over to Call of Duty. But first, I have to pee. I'll be back.
Oh, you watching, huh? Mr. think you tough, oh, you plying, huh? You the type to post guns but never really shot him, huh? You gon' get dropped. This is not a tris pop, bitch, I only sip walk. Got a bag on me, no trick or treat. 100,000 on the road when the whip hit the street. Dog got a hit, pint of red, think he sipping pink. Think that you up, that's a dream, boy, you still asleep. Wake your ass up.